Samaniego will have to do some of those key things. He is 25 years of age from Panama City, weighed in at 147 pounds. He has a professional record of 27-4-1 with 23 knockouts. His last 6 bouts at 153 or more pounds. He is the first cousin of Roberto Duran. His mother and Roberto Duran's mother are sisters, and he says the former great champion has given him a lot of subtle advice over the years. Spent 6 weeks in preparation for this fight. And now the introduction, the NABF welterweight champion. Let's pick it up with Mark Fierro.
Weighing also 147 pounds. His professional record, undefeated in 29 professional bouts. 24 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the pride of Augusta, Georgia, the NABF welterweight champion, Vernon the Viper Forrest. 12 rounds.
So Vernon Forrest soaking in the feeling of fighting in his hometown. And let's take a look at the rules. The unified rules will be used for tonight's main event. And the unified rules are as follows. No 3 knockdown rule, no standing 8 count. Fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round. Only the referee can stop at accidental cuts. They'll go to the scorecards after 4 rounds are complete. Teddy, Vernon's fighting in his hometown, first time since November of '95. If you're in his corner, you try to keep him a little bit relaxed early in the fight?
That's a good point. He's in his hometown. You don't want him to be over anxious. That's a very good point. Sometimes they try to please the fans, especially the hometown fans, a little bit too much. And he has a solid guy in front of him, so you don't want him to run into anything.
Fellow Augusta native Ricky Moore, who starred at UConn and now signed with the Denver Nuggets, and William Avery, formerly of Duke, the 14th overall pick of Minnesota, are on hand tonight to root on their fellow Augusta, Georgia native. And of course, as you saw earlier, Evander Holyfield is here. Holyfield, a big fan of Vernon Forrest.
Forrest likes to get full extension on his punches, and you can see with that missed right hand, that's exactly what he intends to do. Use that jab to keep Samaniego at the end of it, and then get full extension on the right hand. And by using that jab with full extension, he's able to step out and control distance real well. Step out at the right time and maybe create some openings.
Forrest with a knockout percentage of 83%. 24 knockouts in 29 bouts. He has 12 first-round knockouts. Samaniego has 7. 17 of his 23 have come within the first 3 rounds.
Forrest is not only uses the jab to set up the right hand, but he's a good counterpuncher. When he steps back, you have to be careful you don't walk into that left hook that just missed that.
Good left hook to the body by Forrest.
This is exactly where Forrest should be going, to that body. Because Samaniego moves his head pretty well. Because even though Forrest has been on top of him, most of those punches have been missing. But the body would set up those head punches. Because of course the body doesn't move unless you use your legs. And Samaniego does not use his legs. He moves his head, but the body is there.
Teddy, Samaniego told us yesterday he says he will knock Forrest out. I guess he doesn't think he can win a decision in Forrest's hometown.
Oh, that left hook just landed there, and Samaniego caught Forrest stepping back, and that's one of the only kinks in the armor of Forrest. Is sometimes he'll step back or pull back and be vulnerable to that left hook. And he just got caught 2 of them.
Good left hand by Forrest.
I noticed on tape that sometimes Samaniego, when he gets inside, will lay in the middle and leave himself exposed to an uppercut. And like that. And Forrest has a good right uppercut.
Well, Forrest expected Samaniego to come in with a heated body attack, and he said, I'm prepared for that. I'll be able to take his. Will he be able to take mine?
You can see a little bit of the steam has been taken out of Samaniego from those body punches. You can just see it in his face a little bit. See, that time, he made a nice little feint, Samaniego, and he had Forrest leaning forward. He should have thrown a punch.
A good round 1 for Vernon Forrest. in the scheduled 12-rounder. Ronnie Shields, Lou Duva in the corner of Vernon Forrest. And Teddy, he's a very talented young man. Got a lot of mileage out of not getting a title shot. Where do you think he fits in the landscape?
Well, number 3, right over there. We're going to find out if he really is the real thing pretty soon. Oscar De La Hoya, Trinidad, can't argue that. Ike Quartet, only lost to De La Hoya. And Shane Mosley, terrific lightweight champion, skipping junior welterweight, going right up to welterweight. Until he shows me differently, I'm going to go with Mosley, too.
All right, there's William Avery, formerly of Duke, now with the Minnesota Timberwolves, taken 14th overall, watching his man Vernon Forrest. And Vernon Forrest has amateur wins against Shane Mosley.
Yes, he does.
Vernon Forrest beat everybody in the end. He was one of the outstanding amateurs in the early 90s. Not only in the United States, but on a worldwide level, winning the 92 World Championships and losing to Costa Zoo in the 91 World Championship Final.
And besides beating Shane Mosley, as you said, in amateurs, he also beat Stevie Johnson, who right now is the current lightweight champion of the world, who had a tremendous performance a week ago against Angel Manfredi. Real good fighter, that Stevie Johnson. Yeah, Forrest has beaten everybody in the amateurs. Now he has to do it in the pros.
They had that heartbreaking loss in Barcelona to Peter Richardson. In fact, during our telecast, I was sitting with Evander Holyfield in Barcelona. He really gets into the Forrest fights. He was supposed to be doing commentary, and he wound up standing up shadow boxing as the fight wore on. And he's sitting behind us, and he's on the edge of his seat again doing the same thing.
You can see Vernon now is using that jab, stepping out, seeing if he gets Samaniego to fall into something. He did that time, but he didn't throw the punch. That's exactly what he's trying to do. He's using that jab, he's stepping out, trying to get Samaniego to kind of reach in a little bit so he can fill the hole.
Samaniego has been knocked out once back in '97 in Panama. Third-round stoppage by Felix Hernandez, who had been knocked out in 5 of his last 6.
So this is a sign of a good fighter here with Vernon Forrest. Sometimes he'll use that jab if you lay back, he'll set up the shots at the end of the jab. Other times, he'll look to create counter opportunities. He's versatile. He's thinking in there. Right there, you can see he turned his man a little bit. Took his up hand, turned his shoulder a little bit, just to keep Samaniego off balance. The only thing I see sometimes Vernon does a little bit wrong is he'll make defensive moves a little too soon and allow his opponent to time those defensive moves. Right now, you can see Samaniego's trying to do that.
Right to the ear, left hand by Forrest.
See, that was the benefit of combination punching. The right hand didn't land, but Forrest came back with the left hook. That landed.
Teddy, Samaniego's getting some things done, though. He's landing some shots of his own.
He's not a bad fighter. He's a solid guy. We said that at the top. The telling is when he does finally get caught, if he gets caught, how he's able to take it. Right now, he's doing a pretty good job moving his head when he has to and going to the body inside.
Right hand to the ear, left hand to the chin. Another right hand by Forrest, but Samaniego's still there. Pleasure to be in Augusta, Georgia, home of Vernon Forrest. He begins round number 3 against Santiago Samaniego in the scheduled 12-rounders. Forrest makes the 3rd defense of his NABF welterweight championship. Hey, they told Forrest in between rounds 2 and 3, you're trying too hard for the knockout.
Good advice, Lou Duva and Ronnie Shields. Real good sound advice, at least in my estimation. I think he's trying a little bit too much with the power shots. He should use the jab, put them together, and go to the body. This guy's pretty slick. Samaniego moves his head real well. You need to go to the body with a guy that moves his head. Otherwise, you're not only going to miss the head, you're going to leave yourself open like that for counters.
Power numbers in round 2. You see Forrest outlanded Samaniego 13-4.
The danger in missing when you go to the head with a slick guy is just not that you don't land. You could leave yourself wide open.
Clubbing shots by Vernon Forrest, but Samaniego doing a pretty good job, Teddy, of turning on some of those.
Yeah, he is. Reminds you of somebody a little bit who used to turn on right hands pretty good. Roberto Duran, his cousin. Duran used to turn that head to the right and let that right hand go right over the shoulder. Looked like he was getting hit, but he was turning away from it.
Evander Holyfield watching intently. He will fight Lennox Lewis November the 13th in Las Vegas. Press conference on Tuesday. The combination from Forrest.
Samaniego did not really react well there. He allowed Forrest just to walk right in on him. That's because he's standing there not doing anything a little too long. You get mesmerized sometimes, Bob. I have a rule with my fighters. You can't do something before you get to the count of 2 when you're in front of the guy. Get out. Anything longer than that can usually be damaging for you.
Left hand from Forrest. Your guy did well last night. Ovir Maricki won in Atlanta.
Yes, he became 11-0 by winning on a second-round knockout in Atlanta last night. Coming along, developing. You see full extension on those right hands because Forrest really gets good leverage on those punches because he punches at the right distance. He does not smother himself. You can see he's feinting Samaniego when he comes in, trying to get a move out of him.
Samaniego making Forrest miss a lot of these punches, though. The crowd might be standing and reacting, but he's blocking and slipping a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, and he just blocked that right uppercut. Even though it was a good right uppercut, he got the glove underneath to block it.
Well, Forrest continues to unload through 3 rounds. Round number 4 underway between Vernon Forrest and Santiago Samaniego. 12-round NABF welterweight title fight. Forrest defending his title. Teddy in between rounds 3 and 4, courtesy of Saul Avilar's translation. The Samaniego corner saying, hey, you got to wake up. Let your hands go a little bit. Use your right hand and try to start winning these rounds. You're just trying to survive.
Well, he has a reason to try to survive a little bit there. He's got a guy who's a pretty sharp puncher. He's busy getting away from those punches.
You see Forrest threw 56 more punches in the round.
Sometimes if you try to shoot it out with the guy, you won't be around to score later on. Samaniego right now is trying his best to weather the storm when he has to. If he's worried about punching, he might get caught even more. But to win the fight, his corner's right. He's going to have to start picking it up. But early on, I think in his mind, if he picked it up too soon, he would have got nailed in between. He was trying to avoid those shots. Now he's trying to pick it up a little bit. You have to know when, you know, like that old song, when to hold them, when to fold them, when to walk away. You have to know when to move your head and just avoid the punches, and when to shoot back.
You count your money while you're sitting at the table.
You could have problems. In Forrest's corner, Ronnie Shields told him to use that uppercut on the inside. I agree with him. But Samaniego will lean in forward inside a little bit, lay in the middle. When a guy lays his head in the middle when he's inside, you can usually catch him with that uppercut.
Cut. It looks like there might be a cut in between the eyes of Samaniego. I'm not sure. He wiped away. There was a clash of heads. Good right hand by Forrest on the end of that combination.
He gets good extension on his punches, Forrest. Never smothers his punches. He's looking for one shot, a little bit too much, Forrest. You can see it. He should be moving his hands inside and creating the opening instead of waiting for it.
Right to the ear. Yeah, there's a bad cut on the left eyebrow near the nose of Samaniego. And I think that came from a clash of heads. And that's a bad spot, too.
Yeah, it is. It is. And Cutman's going to have some work.
Right hand to the body. Good combination by Forrest to punctuate the end of round 4.
We have an
Well, Vernon Forrest, long and lean, 6 foot, 147 pounds, and he's been compared to one of the greats, at least from a physical standpoint.
One good jab, one good snap on the jab.
I've been compared to Thomas Hearns, and to be honest, you know, It's amazing, you know. Thank you. I feel honored. Thomas Hearns is a great fighter, you know, 6-time world champion, 6 different weight classes. They even mentioned my name in his in the breath with his is an honor, you know. So definitely, you know, I praise the comparison. But I personally, I don't think I've done anything that can even compare to the things that he's done in his career. He's a Hall of Famer. You know, I'm a young buck. I'm still wet behind the ear compared to what he's done.
Well, a humble young man there, Mr. Forrest. He's got that in order. He's done himself very well.
Very refreshing to hear a guy say, I haven't accomplished anything yet.
I believe a good comparison, besides Tommy Hearns, would be to compare him to the former junior lightweight champion of the world, Roger Mayweather. Wiry guy, gets full extension on his punches, good banger, good boxer puncher, stays right in front of you but moves his head, changes distance, doesn't run.
Incidentally, referee George Chip informed me in between rounds that the cut that Samaniego has is from an accidental clash of heads. So if this fight is to stop because of that, because of the accidental clash of heads, since good right hand by Forrest, because 4 rounds are complete, they would go to the scorecards.
You see, Forrest is really looking to set up those right hands. And he does it different ways. Sometimes off the left uppercut, sometimes off the jab.
Break, step back, wait, let go, box.
Right now, Samaniego is walking in a little bit too straight. Moving his head fairly well when he sees the punches coming.
Break, step back.
But he's not moving his hands back quite enough now. Allowing too many punches to come.
Samaniego wiping that blood away. Teddy, you and I have it a shutout for Forrest through the first 4 rounds, and he was winning his 5th round as well.
Break, step back, box.
Vernon Forrest, Santiago Samaniego for the NABF Welterweight Championship. Vernon Forrest from Augusta, Georgia. That's where we are tonight here on Friday Night Fights on the Deuce. Earlier, Larry Marks, unanimous decision against Brandon Mitchum. Vivian Harris stopped Xander Lassen after 5 rounds.
Samaniego doesn't have enough problems with the man in front of him, of course, and with the cut. He hasn't been less than 154 pounds in 2.5 years, since February of '97. Of course, tonight he's 147 pounds. As the fight wears on, you wonder if that's going to wear him down a little bit, because he doesn't have a lot of body fat, losing those 4-5 pounds. Actually, 7 pounds. What am I talking about? 7-8 pounds he had to lose. You wonder if that's going to wear him down a little bit, as well as what Vernon Forrest is doing to him.
And Forrest is kind of picking him apart at this point. And Norman Wilson, the cut man in Samaniego's corner, will have to do some more work on that left eye. Forrest in control. We send it to Andre and Max.
All right, thanks, Bob. Max, Vernon Forrest wants to be measured top shelf. Any criticism so far?
Yeah, believe it or not, I actually do have a little criticism for Forrest, even on this performance, and he's dominating. He is. But he said earlier, Forrest, he should be in the same echelon with De La Hoya and Trinidad. Therefore, he must be held to those same standards, and I'm going to hold him to those standards. He's dominating, but he's getting hit with too many left hooks, and if Forrest would go to the body, a sustained body attack for 1, 2, 3 rounds, the fight would be over.
All right, well, Forrest landing some big-time bombs in this fight, and we send it back to Bob Papa down there in Augusta right now.
There's Santiago Samaniego.
You gotta let your hand loose.
And get me the mouthpiece. Thank you, Saul Avilar, on the translation. We'll use Saul as the night continues as far as anything in Samaniego. But, Teddy, they've been saying the same thing. You have to let your hands loose. I mean, let's face it, even Samaniego has to realize he's down 5-zip. At what point do you start to open it up?
It becomes a point, does he want to win, or does he just want to survive? If he wants to win, then he has to take a chance, which could lead him into getting knocked out, but give him a chance to win.
Well, the jab numbers through 5 rounds, and you see Samaniego 180, 170 less jabs thrown.
Sometimes what happens when opponents are fighting top stars or guys who are perceived as top stars like a Vernon Forrest, they start to think if they survive and they have a decent showing, it's a win for them. They get another spot somewhere. But if they get knocked out, of course, they do not get that other spot. So that sometimes is what's happening in the mind of a guy when he's just surviving, not trying to win. He's in there with a top guy, thinking, hey, I get credit just for going 12 rounds. Not the way you want a guy to think. Obviously, in a pure world, in a perfect world, you want the guy to think only one thing, winning.
Nice left hook to the body by Forrest.
In reality, people think of those things. If I survive, I'll be able to get another fight, another payday. And sometimes the guy convinces them of just trying to survive with punches like that.
Samaniego still standing. Teddy Max brought up the point of the lack of consistent body work by Forrest. And we've heard his corner say, you know, use that body work. Well, why isn't he going to the body?
Maybe because he's home in Augusta and he's trying to score a knockout a little bit too much. He's got a guy who moves his head fairly well. He should go to that body. And you can see when he pulls back, Vernon Forrest, that's where Samaniego has a chance to score with those left hooks. Should never pull back. Not from in close. Do it from a distance where the guy will leave himself open, where you're safe pulling back. You have time to counter. But not from close where he can punch with you and time you on the way out. And Forrest, when he goes back 2 steps. 1 step should be enough. You go back 2 steps, the guy follows you, he hits you.
There's a combination to the body by Vernon. Left hand on the button.
Looking for 1 shot, a little bit too much, Vernon Forrest, and his corner has told him that. Should be using the jab, setting up combinations, going to that body. He's still winning the fight, though.
Hopefully we'll get a chance to speak with the Forrest corner. Find out what further instructions they have. Their man is comfortably in front. Vernon Forrest defending his NABF welterweight championship belt for the 3rd time tonight. Round 7 underway between Forrest and Santiago Samaniego. You know, with all these belts and organizations, we know about the 3 major organizations, Teddy, but the NABF and the USBA are very respected. NABF is North American, USBA is United States. They have a lot of tradition and they are respected belts. They're not like some of those other ones, right?
Yeah, they haven't been involved in some of the manipulative sort of things that some of the other organizations have been involved in. Some of the ratings manipulations that you've seen. But of course, they don't get the publicity some of the other organizations get too.
I'll go to the corner of Vernon Forrest, and Ronnie Shields joins us. And Ronnie, Bob Papa, Teddy Atlas. Looks like Vernon's trying to please the hometown crowd rather than follow the plan as he doubles up with his left there.
That's exactly right. You know, sometimes, you know, that's the pressure of fighting at home. You're trying to please everybody. You know, Vernon's a boxer, and he's a good boxer. That is it now. So,
thanks, Ronnie.
All right.
That left uppercut, the uppercut we were talking about, it connected.
Well, Ronnie mentioned to Vernon in between the last 2 rounds, hey, use your jab, work your body. The guy's coming in, land an uppercut. And boom, he does, and he finishes him in round 7. And maybe he silences his critics a little bit with that combination.
Well, it's a sensational finish. Good point. Very sensational finish. He will silence a lot of people with that finish.
You know, and the comments Max made earlier were warranted because Vernon wants to be put in that upper echelon, and he was sort of fighting a one-dimensional fight, but he listened to his corner instructions, and in round 7, Teddy, he went out and it was like textbook boxing.
Yeah, bad start, good finish. A lot of times the people will remember what they see at the end, and that's all they're going to remember. And they saw a sensational knockout at the end. They saw talent at the end. That's what they will remember. Kind of like when a fighter finishes off rounds, like Sugar Ray Leonard when he stole the fight against Hagler.
Teddy, a barrage of punches. Good left hand to the ribs, I think, stopped Samaniego at first.
And you're going to see a good uppercut coming, a nice left uppercut, because Samaniego is leaning forward a little bit now. He's in the middle, and that left uppercut really clean.
Yeah, some of the other punches were not on the mark, but Teddy, that left uppercut was beautiful.
Yeah, the left hook started it, moved him back into the ropes a little bit. Good body work like you're talking about. And you can see Forrest is looking to pick his spots there. He's got his man leaning in the middle. The uppercut right up to center.
Here's Mark Biro with the official time of the stoppage.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time, 1 minute, 21 seconds of the 7th round. The winner by technical knockout and still NABF welterweight champion, Vernon the Viper Forrest.
So Vernon Forrest takes care of business in round 7 at 121 of the 7th round. He improves to 30-0, his 25th stoppage, and he defends his NABF welterweight championship.